Urgent Day Bears fan! Look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest your team news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Why Big Mo appears in no hurry to leave Chicago Bears anytime soon. A new positional point rating of this year's draft crop by one veteran analyst shows rich talent supplies deep, exactly where the Bears still want to see improvement. For the future, off-season proclamations of Bears' superiority and off-season titleists are definitely premature, considering the other big personnel event is still a little less than a month away. It's only halftime. It all only figures to become even louder in the future unless GM Ryan Poles botches a clean handoff, so to speak. The reason they almost can't help but improve their status is 4 picks in the first 72 in this draft, but also because what they'll be shopping for the hardest has the largest stockpiles of talent. NFL comms draft analyst Lance Zierlein annually does an analysis of the talent supply in the draft to determine what are the best positions for talent and the worst. Unlike assessments made by NFL Com and Pro Football Focus way in advance of the draft, which merely say where it appears there is the most talent, he weighs his analysis heavily toward players who are likely future stars or early draft picks, and then uses a point system. Zierlein sees the most available talent sitting exactly where the Bears need help the most. Even after a successful free agency, everything is lining up perfectly for Ryan Poles in this draft, apparently. The most abundant supply of talent is at edge rusher. The Bears came through free agency with this possibly the one position they left least covered with talent. Although they signed Dayo Odeyingbo in free agency, he's more of an all-purpose defensive end than a pure outside pass rusher. Their next best threat as a third rushman on the edge to complement Montez Sweat is second-year edge Austin Booker, and he didn't accomplish much last season. At least one good pass rusher is necessary in the draft and early. Abdul Carter is at the top of the list, but Mike Green, James Pierce Jr., and Donovan Eziruaku have high ceilings as pass rushers, while Shamar Stewart and Michael Williams are impressive physical specimens with two-way value, Zierlein wrote. Not only could the Bears find someone talented in round 1 or 2, what stands out, in my opinion, is the sheer number of future starters and high-quality rotational players that should be available into the deeper stages of the 4th round, he added. He scored the running back crop as next best, and this is unusual since it's been an overlooked area in many recent drafts. Zierlein points out what many other analysts have, that Ashton Janty at the top is better than any back prospect since possibly Saquon Barkley, but finds the overall numbers at this position staggering. There will be 4th and 5th rounders who develop into productive backups and committee backs, he wrote. Defensive tackle is another area the Bears could stand to fortify even after they signed Grady Jarrett, because he is 31 years old and 2 years ago had a major knee injury. Before acquiring him, they were counting on the return to health of Andrew Billings after a torn pectoral muscle, but a standout interior player would be a good complement to Odeyingbo and Jarrett, not to mention Sweat on the other side. There hasn't been a draft with more than 11 defensive tackles taken inside the first 100 picks since 2016 when there were 14, but this year could match that total, he said, pointing to top-end talent like Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon, and Walter Nolan. They're not only run stuffers, as is often the case with the position is not only deep, but also filled with more pass rush potential than we usually see, Zierlein wrote, the 4th spot as tight end, and the Bears appear in need of a 3rd tight end. Here Zierlein says it's the top 4 or 5 players who create the buzz, because the crop of day 3 talent isn't necessarily great. Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, Mason Taylor, and Elijah Arroyo are cited, but Oregon's Terrence Ferguson also enjoyed a strong combine. Even the 5th position of strength is one the Bears need, and that's offensive tackle. They'll be looking for a possible depth piece and then future starter. From a depth standpoint, teams can hit reset on some first contract selections who didn't pan out from past drafts, but there won't be many diamonds in the rough to mine this year, Zierlein wrote, pointing out the top names are pretty much it in this draft at this position. It sets up for the Bears to take an offensive tackle early if they want, and then come back with the huge depth at other need areas in subsequent rounds. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest The Monsters of the Midway news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. What would Brandon Ayuk Trade cost. Could 49ers deal high-paid wide receiver? There is speculation that the San Francisco 49ers may still trade wide receiver Brandon Ayuk this offseason, and the Las Vegas Raiders still need a number one wide receiver, or at least a starting quality wide receiver. So could that mean the Raiders and 49ers could get together on a trade in the coming days or weeks that would send Ayuk to Las Vegas? It's conceivable, sure. But would be the cost? Ayuk, 27, is a talented player, but he is coming off of a serious injury and he has a huge contract, so his compensation package could be tricky. Yet, there has been media speculation that the New England Patriots could be a willing trade partner, and speculation has centered around a switch of first-round picks and perhaps a second- or third-round pick going to the 49ers. So for the sale of engagement, let's say the 49ers would want to move up from number 11 to number 6 and also get the Raiders' third-round pick, number 68, in return for Ayuk. That would equal the value of a low first-round pick in return for Ayuk, and that may be in the wheelhouse of what the 49ers may want if they part ways with him. The trade would give the Raiders their best receiver and still allow them to draft near the top of the draft. Would you be in favor of something like this? Poll: would you be in favor of the Raiders trading for WR Brandon Ayuk? This poll is closed. 20 he's our new number 11, 48 votes, 80. Not worth it. 589 votes, 737 votes. Total Bears. Reportedly cooling off on star draft prospect as the 2025 NFL Draft looms. The latest reports indicate that the Chicago Bears have cooled off on a potential first-round target. March is almost over as the 2025 NFL offseason continues. There's officially less than a month remaining before the upcoming NFL Draft, and a lot of Chicago Bears fans are eager to see what general manager Ryan Poles has planned for the team's 7 picks, especially the numbered 10 overall selection. One upcoming first-round prospect that Bears fans are eyeing is Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty. Rumors are swirling that veteran RB D'Andre Swift could be on his way out of Chicago following a disappointing 2024 performance. And it goes without saying that Jeanty, one of this year's top rushing prospects, would be more than a suitable replacement. But as much as the fan base would love to hear Jeanty's name called at number 10 next month, it turns out the Bears might not think that highly of him after all. Bears lacking major interest in Boise State RB Ashton Jeanty before NFL Draft Wednesday. Marked Boise State's Pro Day, and Odyssey Sports' Bill Zimmerman reported that the Bears were not well represented when it came to scouting Jeanty. Even though interest levels can change, the fact that RB coach Eric Bieniemy wasn't in attendance suggests that Chicago likely doesn't have serious plans to draft the Broncos prospect. An Ashton Jeanty tweet: the Bears were well represented at Ohio. State's Pro Day: Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, Dennis Allen, but not so much in Boise to see Ashton Jeanty. The Bears did have a representative on hand. All 32 NFL teams were there to see Jeanty, but of note, Zimmerman added that the lack of attendance at the Pro Day is notable based on recent trends. The Bears used first-round picks on quarterback Caleb Williams and wideout Rome Odunze last April after general manager Ryan Poles attended each of their Pro Days, which the 39-year-old executive didn't do for Jeanty. Additionally, Zimmerman said that the Las Vegas Raiders and New Orleans Saints' alleged interest in Jeanty has the Bears feeling like he won't fall to the number 10 spot. As great as it would be to have a weapon like Jeanty in first-year head coach Ben Johnson's lineup, no one would be surprised if he's one of the first 9 picks of the draft. The record-breaking RB dazzled onlookers throughout the 2024 college football season, leading the nation in carries 374 and rushing yards 2,601, while rushing into the end zone, an MWC leading 29 times. Interestingly enough, Jeanty told reporters last month that Chicago might be a nice destination for him to begin his NFL career. Even though he's yet to play a professional snap, it's hard not to be excited about the prospect of his potentially leading the Bears' backfield for the next decade. Time will eventually reveal if Jeanty is meant to wear a Bears jersey. Upgrading the RB room isn't a pressing need, meaning GM Poles is unlikely to trade up for the Boise State talent. Having said that, Chicago likely won't think twice about selecting him if he falls into the franchise's lap, especially if management is targeting the best player available. It won't be much longer before Jeanty's outlook becomes clearer. Round 1 of the 2025 NFL Draft will take place at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, WI, on Thursday, April 24. And now, Da Bears fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Da Bears. He'll be back any moment with more The Monsters of the Midway News.